How's everybody today? Welcome to the April 24th, 2017 Representative Assembly. I would like Ms. Sherman, while she's headed towards the microphone, to please make a motion to adopt the agenda with flexibility. So moved. Can I get a second, please? I see somebody moving.
Albert Barnes, second.
Albert Barnes, second. Now, the reason why I asked for you to adopt the agenda with flexibility is that we have some special guests here tonight, and I want to make sure that you understand that this is a special, this is a special rep council. So, our committee reports, if you notice, I didn't put them and list them all there because the committee reports are going to be very condensed today. Every committee that has an activity has a flyer on the back table. If you notice, we had the music. We've got the Cinco de Mayo flyer. Next on Cinco de Mayo, we have the Cinco de Mayo event. We have the Education Leadership Conference coming up. So they're going to come and they're going to just tell you briefly about the events that are coming up. Our new website will probably be up tomorrow. There were a couple of things that we needed to do to the website, just to make it more functional, because some of the functions that we needed internally were not working. So that's why the agenda is a little, I need the flexibility to do what we need to do. So, all in favor of adopting the agenda with flexibility, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. So, in light of accepting the agenda with flexibility, I want to just do first things first, and that is honor our high flyer, okay? And I want to honor the 2017-2018 Teacher of the Year, who is a building rep from Ridgecrest Elementary School. So let's give it up and give a true PGCEA welcome to the 2017-18 Teacher of the Year, Carolyn Marks, 5th grade reading, writing, and social studies teacher at Ridgecrest Elementary School. Now, come here for a second. Come here for a second. Okay. So, I just thought that it would be appropriate, number one, if you took 30 seconds and said something, but I wanted to make sure you had one of these. Just let me teach, okay? You have to have one of these. And when you're traveling around all over the state of Maryland, as you're going to be going around, you have to have one of these. These are like, this is like Christian Dior and Louis Vuitton, okay? And I know about it. I'll show you where I wow. This is your official PGCEA scarf that I want to give to you so that when you're traveling around, you can say, yeah, that's right. Represent. Absolutely. There you go. Thank Carolyn Marks.
I'll be really quick. Obviously, it's a huge honor to have been selected to represent great teachers in Prince George's County. We all know that there are lots and lots of teachers who could and probably should be standing right here. And I'm certainly delighted to tell as many people who will listen what great teaching is going on in Prince George's County and what we teachers know we need in order to be great and to meet our students' needs. And I am a proud association rep. I want teachers to have as much of a voice as possible, and I'm happy to put my voice in there and say whatever I can to make it happen. So thank you. And if you've got anything you want me to say,
take a shirt. Now, I know you're saying, dang, she teacher of the year, all she gets is a t-shirt and a scarf. No, we definitely, PGCEA honored her. We had a great donor from Copper Canyon that donated a $50 gift card. And she got a whole bunch of other wonderful PGCA and MSCA and Chotskys. But we just want to say we love you. We're so proud of you. Go on to the state and win it. All right. Go on to the state. feeling good, right? Just like a conference with the parents, right? Alright. So, next on the agenda, we have, I'm gonna switch a couple of people around only because, I wanna make sure we get everything done, and then we have, Sean has, Battle is here. But I gotta do the approval of the minutes for the March 21st, March 27th, what was it? March 27th, with my glasses, of one looks like a 7, without my glasses. 2017. But I'm not perfect. Muhammad Ali didn't say he was the perfectest, he said I'm the greatest. I'm just trying to be great with y'all, okay? So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, which were on the back table for the March 27, 2017 meeting. Laura Deneau, you move to the mic? And Greg Beard,
So moved, Greg Beard.
okay? Second by Laura Deneau to approve the minutes for the March 27, 2017 meeting. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay. What's that? The 29th? Okay. March 29th, all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, I just want to make sure this passed right, okay? So I'm going to ask Sean.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sean Johnson. I am the Legislative and Political Director with the Maryland State Education Association. Does everybody know that you have a lobby team that works on your behalf in Annapolis? Yes. So it's my great honor to lead that team in our Annapolis office. We have 2 other full-time lobbyists in addition to me, and part of our job is to take the legislative agenda that you all adopt, help us adopt at the state level, and through our legislative committee that Teresa and others across the state serve on, and help come up with a list of legislative priorities that we're advancing throughout the course of the 90-day legislative session. That session ended on April the 10th at midnight, and I am really excited to say that in the course of the continuation of celebration and good news, we had probably our best legislative session ever this year. So that starts with a shout out and thanks to you all. And I've got a few slides to review, and you have a copy of the slide deck in some of your materials. I think I printed off 3 slides per page, right? So first, I'll just jump right into it, is right off the bat, the most significant piece of legislation that we passed this year was the Protect Our Schools Act of 2017. The Protect Our Schools Act directs how the state of Maryland is going to submit to the federal government on what our state plan is going to be under the Every Student Succeeds Act, the new federal legislation. And what was so important that we were accomplishing in this bill is that we were making sure that we were going to look at school accountability and use more than just test scores to do it. We were going to focus on opportunities for students to learn. We were going to look at because we know students are more than test scores, well, so are our schools. So are you in your own evaluations. But specifically on school accountability, we needed to be about more than tests. This bill requires that we are. It dictates at least one of those additional measures, but leads over into the State Board of Education 2 other opportunity to learn indicators that need to be a part of that mix. The other thing that the bill does that is really significant in light of some of the pro-privatization rhetoric that we've seen, policies at the federal level now under the new Trump administration and with Betsy DeVos as the Secretary of Education. Look, yes, boo all around. But look, those are some boogeymen and boogie women at the federal level. And Governor Hogan's done a lot to distinguish himself from Donald Trump. You know, didn't endorse him in the presidential series, didn't vote for him, so he says. But I got to tell you, when it comes to education policy, these guys are 2 peas in a pod. And on this issue of privatization, Hogan's appointees to the State Board of Education have been urging that give us power to turn districts into, basically give us the power that Louisiana had to turn school districts into what you see play out in New Orleans, where everything becomes a profit center, charter with a management company that's running that school. And guess what? That runs right through Prince George's County if they had that power, right through Baltimore City if the state board had that power. This bill says, no, you cannot do that. And if we have low-performing schools, first and foremost, we are empowering teachers, parents, and local community stakeholders into what's necessary to turn around that school. And if it continues to persist to underperform, we're still going to restrict some of the things that the state can do, including blocking this privatization nonsense at the state level. Passing this bill was a huge effort, and it happened largely because of some great champions, including your legislators here in Prince George's County. Every single one of your legislators in Prince George's County voted for this bill. Every single one of your legislators in Prince George's County voted to override Governor Hogan's misguided veto of this bill. And because of their leadership, that bill is now law, and it will influence what our state submits to the federal government in September. Now, there's more work to be done. We can only predict so many of the bad, ugly, stupid things that the state board might choose to do on their own right. It's going to come down to what's going to happen locally. So if you do have low-performing schools, we've got to take seriously what this local role is in terms of you all being stakeholders in the room and at the table. The bill specifies that the union is at the table as well. We need to go in and not just say, this is what we're against. We need to go in and say, this is what we're for. These are the types of interventions that we want to see. And so, to Teresa and to your board and to you all as association reps, the work is just getting started around ESSA implementation, the implementation of the Every Student Succeeds Act. This bill does a lot to create guardrails against bad things, but the onus is now on you to take over and be a part of the solution for turning around schools. Next slide. Another big success is our budget advocacy this year. The governor is required by law to fully fund the formulas that support our schools. The formulas, frankly, are not as adequate as they were when they were developed 12 years ago. That's a conversation we're going to have over the course of the next year or two, frankly, about updating those funding formulas. But because of those mandates, the governor did fully fund the formulas. However, in the areas of the budget where he had some discretion, he made some cuts that frankly would hurt Prince George's County and hurt the state of Maryland. First and foremost, he moved to cut after-school program funding, and he moved to cut programming support dollars that would support induction programs, because let's face it, we have a problem of keeping teachers in the profession. The last thing we should be doing is cutting induction and retention programs. By the way, those two areas of the budget at the state level, after-school programs and retention, these induction programs, those are the exact cuts that President Trump proposed at the federal level. This would have been devastating to have the federal cut and state cut on top of one another. Again, we had legislators come to our defense and support, and they restored not all of those dollars, but many of those dollars to continue the after-school and induction programs. They also added another $35 million or so to school construction budgets, which should help. We still have $4 billion worth of unmet needs, so $35 million isn't fixing every single school, but it's getting us closer. That's a total of over $350 million just in this year's budget alone. On the whole, the General Assembly adjourned, committing more money to education than what the governor proposed, and that's a net victory for all of us. A third area, and this was a multi-year fight. Is Celia Burton here? She's not a building rep. Celia Burton is a testing coordinator that we've been working with at the state level. She obviously does that work in Prince George's County at Benjamin Tasker Middle School. And we, after 3 years of fighting this fight to reduce the emphasis on the time on testing, we passed the More Learning, Less Testing Act of 2017. This is a very significant and consequential bill for you, and I hope that you will take out to your colleagues. This is going to cap the amount of instruction time that can be used on any mandated test. That's not a standardized test only. That's not just a federal or state test. It is any test mandated by a local school district, the state, or the federal level. Any mandated test. You add up the hours that it takes, the minutes that it takes to sit for that test, and it cannot exceed 2.2% of instruction time. It's just under 24 hours for every grade level but 8th grade, where the cap is allowed to go up to 2.3% of instruction time. 8th grade is where a lot of the grade band testing happens, so we're trying to make an allowance for that. So look, districts can go under that. That's great. Some do. We have districts in this state that test almost 40 or more hours a year. This bill is going to do a lot to reduce testing. It's going to do a lot to reduce testing in Prince George's County, particularly in high school grades, where it is over the cap that's prescribed under this bill. Now, if you all think that that test is an important test to give and it exceeds the cap, you can agree, the union and the board can mutually agree to continue to administer tests that exceed that cap. But you have to mutually agree. So again, the power is in your hands, our hands, to make sure that we are eliminating redundant tests and eliminating unnecessary testing, something that I think we can all agree we have too much of. So the More Learning, Less Testing Act was a huge victory this year, and we're really proud of that. That passed unanimously. We expect the governor to sign the bill later this month or in early May, so stay tuned for that. I mentioned earlier our efforts that there's really not a lot distinguishing Donald Trump and Betsy DeVos and Larry Hogan when it comes to education policy. Governor Hogan invited and welcomed Secretary DeVos into Montgomery County earlier this year. I think you'll see a lot of this picture as we get closer to 2018 elections. On the policy front, though, we did have some opportunities to try and block that DeVos-Trump agenda in here. You'll see a few there. I mentioned on the funding front, the second bullet, we did almost before the print dried on Governor Hogan's bill, this charter school fraud bill that he was advancing. We defeated that bill just at 24 hours after its bill hearing in the House of Delegates. We shut 2 years ago, we worked with the governor to try and find reasonable compromise around charter schools. We're pro our charter school law. We have the best charter school law in the country. It requires charter schools to follow they're held to the same standards as traditional schools. The employees are part of the collective bargaining unit. They are part of our system. We support that. What the governor was trying to advance was separate chartering authority, separate streams of revenue. They get front-of-the-line access for capital dollars for school instruction, front-of-the-line access for operating costs, and let's blow up these collective bargaining agreements that are hurting kids and costing districts money. That's his rhetoric. Those are his words. And we rejected that bill. That was very satisfying to do, to slam the door on the Trump agenda in Maryland, at least this year. Yes. This slide covers a couple of other important wins for us this year. Some of these were driven by new business items that were proposed at the Ocean City Representative Assembly. You may remember some of the debate around putting a moratorium on suspensions for pre-K and kindergarten students. That was the new business item we adopted. The bill as passed was a moratorium on suspensions for pre-K through second grade. We also passed a whistleblower protection bill. You do have some protections on that as it relates to if you saw something nefarious happening on testing, or if you saw it on something else or saw it happening to a colleague that's not you, you didn't have a right of action until we passed this bill. So the whistleblower protection for school employees was another important victory, in addition to some of the other things that you see there on the slide. So go ahead. So really, look, I I'm so excited to go around the state and share these successes, because it's not every year that if you got the one pager that details a lot more than just these bills, the status of them, those that passed or failed, in addition to the slide deck that you have. It's not every year that we get to come in and celebrate 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 major legislative victories, but we do this year. And it's not just, we do. And I like to think that I lead an awesome team, and they are awesome. But it is not us that get this done. It's you. It's not my legislative agenda. It's yours. I never did what you do. I cannot possibly get in front of a legislator and say, let me tell you about the time that I had 35 kids in my class, and this is what we were wrestling with. Some of you would probably kill for only 35 kids in your class. But nonetheless, that's your experience. You are much better, more effective lobbyists than I can be, because you had done it. And you stepped up, and you told your stories. These 40,000 plus emails, 4,000 phone calls, 300 visits, lobby visits. 400 people showed up and said to the storm gods, I dare you to snow on us. We're still going to march to protect our schools. It was really powerful. And I mentioned Celia already. She came in and testified on the less testing bill. Zahava Johnson came in and testified on legislation about eliminating or at least getting input from pre-K teachers before we administer the early learning assessment, something Michelle Clark helped me understand at your legislative breakfast at the beginning of the year. Your president came in and testified on a number of issues, including one that unfortunately is on my slide of where we came up short on the Trust Act. Which I'll get to. I really just want to shout out to those 3 individuals who came in and provided testimony, but really to all of you. Who sent an email this year around any of these items on the legislative agenda? Who made a phone call? Who came in and marched or otherwise came as a part of a lobby night? We got to increase those numbers, by the way. We got to increase those hands, right? We've got bigger fights, really daunting fights ahead of us. And you all as reps need to be on the front lines of that if we're going to be successful. Where we came up short, I don't like to publicize our losses, but I think it's important for you to know where we pushed and where we came up short, because probably many of these things are going to be on the front lines of issues that we will take into the next legislative session, next January, including making sure that educators, specifically, their voice is on the State Board of Education. You know, right now there are 11 members plus a student on the State Board of Education, and only one of them, a parent, has anything to do with the public school. That's it. Everyone else is focused on their own, either think tank, private side, private school mindset. We need to do a better job of making sure that your voice is represented on there. That's why I hope we'll pass legislation next year to add teachers specifically and parents to the State Board of Education. And a number of other things that you see on there. Yes. We'll push on that. Go ahead. I mentioned that there are big fights ahead. And the one that I really wanted to focus on, I mentioned the work that you have around the ESSA implementation. That is big, important work. The state's going to submit a plan to the federal government in September, and this coming school year is when schools start to get evaluated on the new system. The year after that is when the interventions have to take place. So you really have an 18-month window to figure out what are you going to do locally to support low-performing schools. But while that's happening, the state conversation about funding is going to be moving in earnest as well. In December of this year, a commission that's looking at the state funding formulas is going to make recommendations to update our funding systems in the state. Who would like a raise? How many of your colleagues do you think would like a raise? Well, guess what? That happens when we increase the amount of funding that goes to our schools. And the way we do that is by changing the formulas, by updating the formulas, frankly. When they were adopted 13 years ago, they were incredibly progressive. They met the needs at that time. But we do a better job identifying students with special needs. Our student population is changing. We have over half, almost half statewide, and I suspect over that in Prince George's County of kids who are on free and reduced meals. And we have more English language learners than we did 12, 13 years ago. It costs more to educate kids in at-risk populations. But our formula doesn't respect that to the degree that it needs to. So if we're going to do that, the recommendations from the Kirwan Commission need to be acted on next year. And if you think turning out 400 people to a rally or sending 40,000 emails is going to get it done, you're wrong. We're going to need 15,000 people marching in Annapolis to make clear that this is a priority for you, for parents, for community leaders, everywhere in the state. And so the work that we do to get there, I can't flip a switch and get 15,000 people to Annapolis. If you can, let's talk after this. But there's a lot of work that has to be done on the ESSA front, on the preparing for next year's priorities front. And oh, by the way, you're going to elect a whole lot of important people in 2018. You have a primary election in June and a general election in November. There are a couple of people that I want to make sure don't come back in 2019. And I suspect you have some of those people at the local level as well. But even regardless, you've got term-limited leaders and you've got huge opportunities. It is hard to it's unfair, frankly, to expect these folks and you all to be the ones to lead on every single one of these things day in and day out. We need to do a better job of adding capacity to this work. So MSCA is launching Go Teams, grassroots organizing teams. You may have seen an email recently from MSCA President Betty Weller announcing these grassroots organizing teams. But Go Teams are designed to do three things. One, they're member-led teams, organized by legislative district, and we can work with BGCEA to figure out if there are other county council districts or other geography that makes sense. But they're grassroots-based teams that are going to help us drive a legislative agenda in the future. Think about organizing people to turn out for lobby days and other activities next year, but also build relationships with legislators. I want legislators not to call Teresa or me when they have a question about education policy. I want them to know who you are. I want them to have a relationship with you, that they reach out to you. That's what these grassroots organizing teams are to do on legislative advocacy. Political advocacy. We're going to need to knock on more doors and make more phone calls if we're going to be relevant to help elect pro-public education candidates. Well, we got to get to the business of organizing. And then, that's the background. Yeah. And we have communications needs. You know, sometimes we worry about, do we have enough money to run this radio ad or this internet ad or whatnot. I do want to raise money. I'd like to talk to you about raising PAC money sometime. But in addition to that, there's a lot that we can do in earned media space. And many of you, we have a lot of people who are willing to show keyboard courage. They'll add their comments on Facebook or at the end of a story. We need to make sure that that's populated with our message and your stories. And so we want to add that communications piece to what these Go Teams will do. So I encourage you, if you're interested in any or all of those things, to visit marylandeducators.org/GoTeam or follow one of the links from the emails that you got last week in order to learn more and apply. And we'll work with Teresa and Jennifer and BGCEA to identify the best leaders in this local and in this county to get that important work done while you're also doing all the other important things that BGCEA is doing. You have my contact information on this slide and in your handouts. I truly try and be accessible to you by phone, text, email. If there are questions you have, if there are ideas you have, if there are issues you think we need to be addressing that you don't see reflected in this agenda, I want you to let me know. And if you have any questions about the successes of this legislative session, I'm happy to answer them before I get yanked off the stage. Thank you. Microphone one. Please have one.
Rowena Shern, Board of Directors. I just wanted to take a point of personal privilege, you guys, and to officially thank Sean and his team for organizing this work. It is not easy. So we want to thank you so much for all that you do for us to put us in a position so that we can advocate and really get what our members need. So you guys have done an excellent job to put us in a position so that now we can go back to our local and get some work done here for our members, on behalf of our members. So thank you.
Anything else? We answered everything? All right, thank you for letting me spend time with you. I look forward to working with you moving forward. Thanks so much.
One of the hardest working men in Annapolis, I'm gonna tell you. And getting the word out to our elected officials, because a lot of times I'll go to meet with people and they'll say, oh yeah, MSCA's been by here already. So that's a good thing, that's a good thing. Rolling, want to head back to the mic, you want to get that one right there? Come up here, whatever you feel.
All right. Good afternoon again. I'm going to be quick with you guys because we do have a heavy agenda today and I want to be respectful of time. A couple of things to note. This Saturday, the MSCA Instructional Professional Development Committee will be hosting, along with the ESP Committee, will be hosting our annual Professional Development Day. So hopefully many of you have signed up. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. To back up, we received a request from NEA via MSCA. We have a teacher coming in from the United Kingdom, Patrick Ryan. And Patrick will be spending Friday morning looking at a classroom in Prince George's County. He's doing some research, and so because of the work that we've been doing in the county, they made a request of us, and we'll be honoring that request. So we're pretty happy and excited about that, that our state affiliate looked to us as one of the places for him to look and to do some research. So we're definitely excited that he'll be here with us. Sean went over the legislative agenda with you. One more thing I do want to note for our pre-K teachers. The beautiful part of the pre-K legislation that was passed is that they have to talk to kindergartners, they have to talk to the kindergarten teacher first. Yes, they have to talk to the kindergarten teacher first. So how powerful is that? The association has to agree to it and they have to talk to us first. So now we're definitely putting the professionalism back into the work that we're doing. And we're excited about that because we are the experts at what we do. And so we're happy that our state affiliate set us up so that we will be able to do that as well. I'm hoping that you all sign up for the Go Teams. It doesn't matter what county you live in. Let me say that again. Even if you live, as myself, I live in a different county. I can participate in the county that I live in, or I can participate in Prince George's County. So please do not let that be the barrier for you. We will use people however they want to work. We need as many people as possible. So if you live down in Calvert County, we have work for you to do down in Calvert County. If you want to do it here in Prince George's where you work, there's work here in Prince George's as well. So please don't let your address limit your ability to support this legislative initiative from our own state affiliate as well. I'm going to let that be the end of the report in interest of time.
Thank you, Rowena. Thank you for your service on the state board. It's really important that we make sure we're mindful that we have Rowena on the MSCA board, so that if there's something happening on the state level, you need to contact her and let her know and share with her what your ideas are, because she sits in the room. And I will share with you that it is not lost on me that every year we keep having to elect a minority member of the board of directors. So you can take that for whatever you think it might mean. I'm not going to elaborate on it. Treasurer's report, Tawana Lane.
Good evening, everyone. I sent out the report along with the agenda, along with the minutes. Are there any questions regarding this report? It's also in the back. Is there anybody that has questions for me to not belabor the meeting? I feel like it would be best if I let you read it if you have questions. My email address is Tawana R. Lane, so that's TAWANARLANE@gmail.com. If you have any questions, I do respond, so please email me, and I will get back to you. Madam President, may I get that on the Future Teachers Committee report?
You may.
Future Teachers Committee, I'm the committee chair. So for all early career educators, since we passed the bylaws, it will soon be changed to future educators. That is for school counselors and classroom educators as well. So that's why we're not being called teachers, we're future educators. So please tell your future educators, May 19th is the date that you need to write down. We're having a real talk, that's my New York accent, I'm sorry.
Love it.
A real talk happy hour. Happy hour is for, I'm sorry, I'm a seasoned teacher myself, but it's for the 5 years or less career educators. 5 years or less. Tell them to check their email, they will be invited. It is for members and fee payers. So here's the catch. If they are a fee payer, they have to pay $5. Or on the spot, become a member and it's free. How about that? So it is a real talk happy hour. It'll be May 19th, starting at 7 p.m. and ending at 9. We're going to do it as the Millennium said it's going to be good. All right, thank you. It will be here at PGCEA. May 19th here at PGCEA from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tell them to check their emails starting the end of May. We will send emails directly to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara.
May. End of May 19th. My apologies, not the end of May. The May 5th, they should start receiving emails, okay? Is that clear? Thank you.
Okay, GR committee, Jamal, are you prepared?
Sorry, Madam President, how are you?
I'm wonderful, how are you?
Good. I had a question for the treasurer.
Treasurer?
It's a point of information. Is anyone, or maybe you can elaborate on the $1,000 that we went over budget? I know that there's a short blurb at the bottom, but for the sake of the body, could some more detail be given to that?
Sure, so he's referring to the committee budget that's on the back. You know that every month I give you the report so that you know what committees are and what we have. So the $1,000 is over. This is the only committee right now that's over. It's highlighted in pink or red, depending on your colors. We had 2 contracts. We only budgeted for one thing for the election. So that $1,156 in September, if you remember, we voted on a negotiated agreement. So that was one. And then we just recently had our recent election for our board of directors seats and our delegation for MSCA and NEA. So that was the second. So that's why we went over for that election. So we actually budgeted for one, and we actually had 2. You're welcome. Thank you.
Jamal, come up here, please. Let's give it up for Jamal.
Good afternoon. I'm going to make this very quickly. You just heard from Sean Johnson about the great victories that we had in Annapolis this year. So it is because of you and your activism that we were able to make that happen, through your phone calls, emails, and also you showing up at the rally. But of course, we know that that is just part of the puzzle, because now we have a local fight here in Prince George's County to make sure that we get the education budget and funding that we need. So all of you should have one of these handy flyers right here that speaks about our advocacy in the budget process this year. So there are 2, this is very important, there are 2 budget hearings, May 2nd and May 8th. During the budget hearings every year, the county council, they hear from residents and groups that says, hey, this should be a budget priority. And our budget priority is very, 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 very simple. Fully fund the public education budget. That's it. Fully fund the public education budget. But of course, because we have the biggest pie and the biggest section of the budget, we have to make sure that they do that. So we need everyone to pick a date, the 2nd or the 8th, and to come out. Every person. Now, those of you who we have your email address, you should have an email in your inbox from the Action Network as we speak. If you don't have an email from us, I'm going to pass around this roster here, and I would like you to put your email address on here and your phone number so that we make sure that you get this email. It's going out to the general body, everyone else tomorrow, okay? But we want to make sure that you have it, you get it into your buildings, and it is very important that we have as many people show up. Because if you've ever been to one of these hearings, everybody's showing up with their priority. So you'll have different groups here, different groups there. We have almost 9,000 members. It is no reason why we should not be the biggest and the baddest group at the county council budget hearings. So you have the flyer here, it has a little descriptor. This is going out on email tomorrow. You're going to get other emails and phone calls about this. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jamal. Okay. Okay, so, those were the committee reports that I really needed to get in early in the meeting. I know that there are other committees that need to do their report, but I need to honor Ms. Ball's time right now.
Would the makers suggest we consider it on
Where's the word sanctuary?
the title? And our title?
No, forget the title. The title is not part of the NBI.
I understand that.
Point of order, point of order. Here's what we need to do. If, Tawana, if you want to make an amendment to change the title, then you may do so, but you guys cannot debate each other about it. Okay? So, if you want to go to microphone 1, please, and make an amendment. If it's friendly, you guys can just say yes, okay?
I would like to offer a friendly amendment to read NBI 12 District School Policy.
I mean, I agree.
Okay, so it's now considered a friendly amendment, it'll say district school policy, okay, as the title. Did you have a point of information or a question? Did you want to speak in favor? Yes.
Albert Barnes, Benjamin Slaughter representative, speaking as an individual. If you notice around you, you're seeing what the culture or the ethnicity of children around and parents around the district being more diverse than ever. If you do not offer someone a safe place to be, you'll see what happens, what has happened in the media where they're talking about, they got a term for him where they sent a guy over to Mexico, now he's got a lawyer and everything like this. I stand in support of the amendment and the motion.
Thank you. Are you done yet? Okay, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just trying to get it. Was your period at the end of your sentence? Okay, all right, awesome. Seeing no one else rise to the mic, I put the question before you. All in favor of the adoption of new business item 12, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Very good. Carries. All right. So, all right, now, we got our new business item passed. I do have a couple of announcements. Did you have a report? No. Executive Director does not have a report. Charles has one thing that he has to say that is burning. Charles, go to the microphone, don't do that.
Okay, look at
Because she
number
has to
7.
record this.
You are now expected to hold your FAC and building run elections before June the 15th, and you should hold them next month. Let me repeat, you should now hold your FAC and association rep elections during the month of May. You just passed bylaws that change the procedures. Please note.
Okay, hold on. I need everyone to hold on for just a second. Hold on, Mark, because you sent me an email about this, and I got it. And I want to get through this without a whole lot of consternation. Okay, the bylaws say that you should, okay? We all know that that may not be possible. However, the request is, and the reason why that was put into the bylaws for a change was so that those people who are elected to be building reps in the spring can be trained over the summer and have some ability to carry out their job. We realize that this is not going to be possible in every site. So it is something that we're looking at because we're going to have to address this. But it was changed in the bylaws, so we have to make sure that everybody understands the level of expectation. Mark Navy.
Okay. I think the contract says there's one association rep per 10 employees, but the bylaw change is saying it's 25. So we need to know which is right.
FAC is 10, association rep is 25.
It's always been that. It's always been that. Microphone 1.
Robert McNair, Board of Directors. Since I have to put it in the form of a question, wasn't this exactly what I was speaking about in the last rep council meeting about people not knowing what the bylaws were when they voted on them?
Well noted, well noted. Okay, so, well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna own it. And I'm gonna own it because we did not go through all of the bylaws that were brought before the rep council. And part of the problem was that we literally ran out of time. And we should have came back at our January meeting and finished going through them so people knew exactly what they were voting for. But then there was also a decision that the NECC made, was that we just have to put the bylaws changes on the ballot as a whole, as opposed to each one individually. Because to do each one individually would have been just awful. It would, getting people to vote on each one individually would have been challenging. So I think that part of these changes, like this one, is something that we need to review and see how it works out in application. And I encourage anybody who has a concern about this to be on the bylaws committee for next year, so that we can sort of fine tune and tweak some of the changes that were made. So I'm gonna do my president's report in 1 minute. Ready? Congratulations to Donna Christie, who is the Maryland Psychologist of the Year. Number 2, the medical benefits review team has come back, and I can't tell you exactly what's in it, but I can tell you that there probably will not be a whole lot of changes in our medical coverage for next year, and that the medical vendors that we have currently, because they had to go through this process, and many of them wanted to keep our business, that they came in really good on the financial piece. So there's a very good chance that we would not see significant increases in our medical payments for next year. I will promise you that I will send out more detailed information later, but you can feel confident there's actually a couple additions. Our retirees, I'll meet with them and share what's going to happen with them. The last thing I want to share with you is 2 things. One, I hope you come out May 2nd and May 8th. You're going to get the email. If you don't come out, don't complain to me about it. I'm just saying. We have so much that we have to stand up for, and I need you in the room. You all have your blue t-shirts that say, just let me teach. If you didn't get one, you show up on the 2nd, I might have one for you, okay? The last thing I want to say is, thank you, Cheryl, and the negotiations team for holding it down on negotiations, and everything you say in here, she brings it in the negotiations. I do have one more thing. Yesterday, I had the honor of attending the Black Issues Conference this past weekend in Los Angeles, along with Annette Jones and Olive Lennox and Kyle Dijon. And next year, the Prince George's County Educators Association will be the hosts for the I got goosebumps even saying it out loud because I've been so excited. I couldn't sleep last night. But the scholarship committee is doing their event. What's the date? June 1st. June 1st. But the scholarship applications are due back to you when? Okay, so they're already vetting them.
However, we still accept the applications in February. We schedule our vetting.
Okay, all right. So
if anyone,
your high school guidance counselor, having students, talk to her. Yes.
Quick question for the scholarship. Did we update any of that information on the website?
The website, the new website will go up tomorrow. Unfortunately,
right.
The scholarship applications.
Yeah, I'd rather not depend on them. Is there any way I can get a hard copy? I represent several scholarship committees in the area. Gotcha.
Okay, now, we had almost 45 minutes with Shauna. Do you wish to have member petitions or comments, or are your hearts clear? Oh, two questions that came to me. One, when is the last day of school? Dr. Maxwell texted me before the meeting and said that they're waiting on a response from MSDE as to when the last day of school will be. And then there was another question about pay over the summer with, I remember, so there was, and they have not heard, because they have not heard definitive, they haven't figured out definitively when school is actually going to start and how they're gonna do it. I did make a recommendation to the school system. I did make a recommendation to the school system that they look at taking people's summer pay and spreading it out over the entire period that we will be out of school. So what will happen is your check will be, during the summertime, they don't take out your deductions anymore. So your check would probably be somewhere, and I calculated it out, for the average teacher, it'll be very close to what you would normally receive during the year. So we have not finished having that meeting yet, and as soon as I know, I will share with everybody. They've done that before. Yes.
Olive Lennox Sparrowwood. I received a letter from the school secretary concerning that, and so that they have spread out, our salaries will go up to the week before we go back.
Okay, I have not heard that from the school system.
No, I have received the email from my secretary, so they sent it to, I'm assuming they sent it to the secretary, but my secretary sent it to all staff.
Okay, can you forward that to me?
I can
because
do
I
that.
have something I'd like to know. I didn't get that. Okay, quickly, Marvin.
I know you thought I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but real quick, considering the now newly acquired articles and news feed from the media, contingent upon what we just had a 45-minute conversation about, is it time for PGCEA to actually have a statement of some type? There has been now teachers that are coming out that are on admin leave, that have been on television and have been interviewed, stating their claim. We know where Lou stands. In his interview, it did not sound like he was standing for PGCEA, as if he forgot about it. The interview was very sad, what he stated. And so I bring to your attention, only are we going to have a statement, PGCEA going to say, we've spoken to, just anything, because right now we're kind of quiet.
I have spoken on it. I was on vacation last week. Channel 9, I did a phone interview with Channel 9, and you can check on Channel 9 about what I said as far as the effect that this is having on the children and the morale of our teachers. I also was interviewed by Donna St. George from the Washington Post. She said that was gonna run, I got back at 3 o'clock last night, so I haven't had a chance to really see the news today. However, our time period of being silent on this issue has ended. Okay? All right?
President R.J. Brown, Parkville High School.
I'm sorry, tell me your name again.
R.J. Brown,
I know your name.
Parkville High School. Just a quick question, it's not too deep. With our bipolar weather, it's really messing up temperatures in the classrooms, and it's making it impossible to teach. One day it's too hot, and the next day in the same space it's too cold. And I have a lot of teacher complaints. We've done everything in-house. The principals put in work orders and all of that, but